Greetings, human beings. Welcome aboard here. This is going to be the first video of many for our circular art and this circular art series. So welcome to my playlist here. Welcome to my homepage. And this class is dedicated to my classroom during the COVID years of 2020, 2021. So this is for you students. See if we can get you making beautiful art at home, at school, wherever you may be connecting. So what I wanted to show you first is that in all of your packets at home, this is all you need to make anything that I'm gonna make on this video. And in this whole series, you just need some pencils. Mechanical pencils are helpful, I'll be working with them. A safety compass. If you look up safety compass, this is usually the one that pops up. And then we've got a protractor. And I'm gonna make this real slow, so if you wanna speed ahead, you can, but otherwise this is gonna be a chill video. And all we're doing on this video is just finding the center of the piece of paper using a ruler. So, all you need to do to create, the only supplies you need to create a lot of this material we're working with is pencils, a ruler. I'm going to work with inches mostly on this, a compass, and a protractor. Okay, but for this one, I'm just going to get rid of these guys, just set them up to the side. I'm just using one pencil here, and get rid of my trash. And here we go. We're going to find the center of this paper. That's the first thing we need to do because we want our circle and our art to be centered, or we want to be able to find the center so that everything can have symmetry, so that, well, just for order. So what I'm gonna do is I have it laying down what we call landscape, and I'm gonna switch it over to being a profile. So the only problem with this is that you sort of lose the top or the bottom. But what I'm looking for is, what I'm looking for is a line between one edge and another edge. So I'll start here, because what I'm looking for is I'm gonna just get a nice little line going down the middle. I'll erase it later. Is to have some center line down the middle. I'll make that heavier later, but I'm just estimating where the center line is. If you don't know, this sheet, a standard sheet of paper, is 8 inches by 11. So I'm going the long way here. So I've got my 0 marked there, my 0 lined up here, the end of the page at 11. And I need to think about what is half of 11. So I've got 11 here, and I've got to divide it in 2. And so 11 divided by 2, well, that would be 5 with an extra or a remainder of 1, but that remainder of 1 is just one of these halves. So 11 halves is 5 wholes and an extra half. So what I'm looking for is 5 1/2 should be the center of this. Here's 5. There's 5 1/2, and I can double check that by going to that mark and seeing if it goes to the end of the page. There's 0, there's 5 1/2. So I've got to mark at the top of the page. I want to come down here and mark at the bottom. It's important to keep the ruler straight with your paper. There's 0, there's 5 1/2. If I want to double check it, I bring the 0 here and make sure that I have 5 1/2 to the other side of the page, which I do. Then I'm going to just create a center line connecting these two lines. Okay, we got the center line there. I'll take a second, since I'm in no rush here, just to clean up my sheet a little bit. Those marks from before. And now I have a much cleaner center line. I can also take a second, get rid of the dark marks there if I want, and up here, but it's not a big deal. We're just learning how to find that center mark. So I've got my center line going from this way to this way. There's my center mark, my center line. Now I just need to go ahead and turn it And I'm gonna just measure along this one line to find the center of this. So I think I mentioned it before, the sheet is 8.5 by 11. So that means I have 8.5 inches here, going across 8.5 inches. But I need to cut that in half. So I need to divide 8.5 inches divided by 2. Well, I can approach that pretty simply if I separate these guys. If I just thought about the 8 and the half, and I split them up, okay? 8 split in half is just gonna be 4. And a half, well, if I have a $50, that's 50 cents. So if I needed to cut that in half, that would be a quarter. So I'll go ahead and show you with a different way to do it too. I could have an 8.5, that's a mixed number. And I could say that's the same as having 17 halves, because 16 halves would be the 8 wholes. So that's the same as having 17 halves. And then if I divided that by 2, we end up multiplying 17 halves times 1 half, because we got to take the reciprocal or divide that to flip that around. 17 times 1 is 17. 2 times 2 is 4. And if you turn that improper fraction into a mixed number, well, how many 4s are in 17? There's 4 4s with 1 left over. So I just gave you a much more proper way to prove that half of 17 halves, or half of 8.5, is 4 1/4. I'm lining up right here. There's 0. There's 4 1/4. There's 4, 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 4 3/4, and 5. And if I want to double check it, there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 inches, and there's my 4 1/4. So I have found the center of the piece of paper. Normally I wouldn't mark everything so heavy. I would just really focus on that mark, but I want to make sure we're understanding it. Okay? Doesn't matter if you work this way first and then this way, as long as you have both marks. So we have a center line and then a center mark. All right, good luck. I'll see you soon. Thanks for being along for the ride.